So good. No, it's been a good off season. Obviously, Ellis is not going to be on the ice, but otherwise, it looks like everybody's doing well. I think in a rookie camp we had a couple guys that got banged up, I think Avon and Mann, but otherwise it's the guys were healthy and our vets. It's exciting. They're skating. There's all on the ice, it seems. Couturier and Atkinson, after not having played at all last year, to see them on the ice, to see them skating, participating in all the drills, the contact drills. It's exciting, and hopefully it stays that way.
You take this for what it is out there, but the fact that, as you said, those guys are in contact drills, they're doing everything out there, how much of a heartening feeling is it for the team you're trying to build to know that your number one center and one of your big top six
Yeah.
wingers is going to be there for you?
Yeah, obviously on the ice, it's a big change. I mean, we've put a lot of stress on guys like Noah Cates and Morgan Frost last year because of that, and I'm sure it was great for their development having to face top six players or centers all year long. But at the same time, it's going to be nice to give them a little bit of help and strengthen that position a little bit, let them breathe a little bit. Experience-wise, I think it's going to be great for their growth as well. On the ice, adding those two guys in the locker room is huge as well. Last year we had a lot of young guys, Noah Cates, Morgan, Owen Tippett, a guy Tyson Forster coming out at the end of the year. But those guys are going to help. And then the room, Travis Konechny took a big step. Joel Farabee took a big step leadership-wise this summer. It was good to see. But adding guys like Atkinson and Couturier to the room will help a lot on offense.
Danny, this is the first season where you guys are going in fully acknowledging that you guys are in a rebuild. What does that, I guess, overarching philosophy, how does that affect how you guys look to build the roster? Does it make you guys more likely to pick a kid over a veteran if it's close, or is it pretty much the same as it's been the last few years in terms of how you guys structure that roster?
No, we've been, it's a fine line, right, where you want to give the young guys the chance, and Torts did a tremendous job of that last year. But at the same time, not putting them in position to fail, and that's the part that we have to gauge. Put them in good position so they can grow and get better, and that is exactly why adding a guy like Mark Stahl, we felt to help some of our defensemen after losing Provy. Adding a good veteran that can help cool the temperature at times and understanding where he fits in, but at the same time, especially helping out our young D-men. There's a lot of change, a lot of young guys stepped up last year, mostly on offense. Hopefully we can see that a little bit more on the defense, but at the end of the day, the players are going to decide that. If they're not ready to play, we're not going to just keep forcing them back into the lineup. We're going to give them the chance to maybe get their confidence back somehow. Depending on who they are, some guys can go down the minors. Some guys will just need a little bit more practice time. But we'll try to gauge the temperature. There's no doubt that it's critical to develop our young guys and think about the long-term prospect for this organization.
I guess the flip side of that, though, you mentioned Mark Stahl. You have guys like Sean Walker, Garnet Hathaway, Nick Delorier. How do you guys avoid? You have the help that they're providing, but how do you guys avoid those guys blocking the kids from playing at all and making the roster at all?
Yeah, that's something we're going to gauge along the way. We had that last year, and guys like Noah Cates and Morgan Frost and Owen Tippett, and they were all able to thrive and get better. And I felt Torts did a really good job of sensing when and where he could put him in a position to succeed. He did the same thing with Cam York on defense. He felt early on, Cam needed a little bit more work, which was a great call. He went down in Lehigh Valley, was able to get a lot of confidence, and he came back, and he was one of our best defensemen from the time he came back to the end of the year, and we're expecting him to almost be like a veteran this year, but he's still young, and when you think about it, so hopefully we can add a couple more guys the same way, on defense, but we're going to read the situation and make sure they're able to swim and survive.
How does that, finding that balance and, given the organization's committed to a rebuild, how does that impact how you guys view success as an organization? Is there any benchmarks you're looking for this year?
Well, I read the predictions. I see where everybody's picking us to be last or bottom three in the NHL. I hope the players use that as a motivation. I don't know exactly where it's going to go. And I hope the players use that as a motivation. We hope and we believe that they're better than what the predictions are out there. But at the same time, these guys are going to be in control of that. Now it's their turn. It's their chance to prove everybody wrong.
You guys are talking
It's about the future. It's about the development. It's about how we come together as a team. That's how we're going to judge success. We feel again that Torts did an amazing job with that last year. Creating the culture that needs to be in place to win. He's going to keep going in that direction and keep building that structure. That's how we're going to evaluate more than just on ice success.
Danny, can it be difficult for the coaching staff at times to maybe motivate veteran players when there's so much openness about a rebuild?
I don't know. I mean, I hope they use that. I'm sure in the room the players they're not thinking rebuild, and I hope they're not. I hope the players, and I made that very clear with them that every game we expect them to win and go out and give their all. And Torts was able to get the best out of them last year, which was really impressive. We expect the same thing this year. We're not tanking any games. We're not trying to lose on purpose. We're going to do things, obviously, for the future. But at the same time, we expect these guys to go out and win every game. And I hope they know that. And I've told them that. And I'm going to reinforce that before camp start as well. We're not trying to lose. We're trying to develop our guys in hopefully a winning culture, but an environment where they leave everything they have on the ice every single night. And I hope and think that our fans will respect that.
So is there like a X number of years you guys expect to be back in the playoffs or back amongst?
No, I'm not putting a timeline on that. I've said it before. The players will decide that. And everybody develops at their own rhythm. Now we'll see how they go. We have our own idea, but I don't want to put that out there right now.
Talk about some of those roster battles on the edges, Forster and some of the young guys being one of the guys kind of fighting for a spot. When it comes down to who's going to be dressing on night one, whose decision is that? How collaborative is it? Is it John's? What's that decision?
It's all of us together. We've said it before. Everybody's involved in that. We're not a team that works. It's not one person dictating everything here. We work as a team, and we have disagreements, and I welcome disagreements. I think it makes us better. It's good to have different perspectives, different thoughts, and we come together. We make it work and find a way to put the best lineup together on the ice. There's going to be some good battles at every position, which is great to see. And some guys in a rookie camp left some good marks, and we'll get a chance to show us what they can do with in the main camp with the veterans.
You mentioned about rookie camp, about some guys showing well. Ian Briere, after Saturday's game, did say that he was maybe expecting more from some of the guys who people think are closer to the NHL than others. I guess, do you share that evaluation? Where do you think guys like Forster, Daniel Brink, where do you think they stand?
He's right about that. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind that guys like that you mentioned, the Brink, Desnoyers, Forster, they're trying to get ready for the main camp, and yeah, maybe the timing wasn't quite right. The bounces didn't go their way quite right. Maybe it's a little bit of a wake-up call for them. But I'm not worried about them. You know, it was more for them to get ready for the main camp. They know they're going to be in the mix to battle for a spot. But for me, it was exciting to see players like Wisdom and Tuamala. I have the list here. I thought Alex Chirnik looked good. Denver Barkey looked good. You know, it was good to see those guys kind of take a step and show us that, you know, there might be something there for the future. On defense, I was really happy to see the way Bunk played. You know, being only 18 years old and you know, held his ground in the one game he played. Emile Andre, I thought, was better as the game went on. Adam Yinning looked really, really strong. You know, we'll probably see him at some point play here. And Grans, I thought, had a really good game with Emile in the second night. So those are all guys that did really well, and you know, we'll get the chance to get in some games here in preseason and show us what they can do with the veterans.
And you talked about that group of young players that took a big step forward last year. Tippett, Gates, Frost, York. There's also guys that had been in the organization a little while, that had injury issues in many cases, and they're still trying to solidify a spot. And in several cases, you don't have the luxury of waiver exemption anymore.
Yeah.
How important is it that those group of players, Lazinski, Allison, those guys step forward and show the best?
Yeah, and they'll get every chance to show us and prove that they belong here. But you're right. They, you know, I think they realize that it's time to really take a step for them. You know, and they're getting a little older, and we're getting more and more young guys kind of pushing from the rear also, which is great. I think it's awesome to have competition for those roles. But yeah, and then nothing's going to be given, and everybody will have to earn their spot.
As far as when you get moving on the ice with Couture and Atkinson specifically, how much do you have to monitor their ice time? Because those guys are going to want to go 1,000 miles an hour because they didn't play last year. How much, you know, who determines?
Yeah.
How will it be determined? How hard you push those guys, and how does that all going to shake out?
Yeah, that's a good question, and we went through that last year when, you know, Sean wanted to or tried to come back at the end of the year. It's not easy, but you know, with all the data that we have and the sports science that we have nowadays, they really play a big role in helping us manage all that. And obviously, Torts is deciding that in game, but usually there's a lot of meetings and discussions on how to bring him along. What I like about this now for those two guys especially is they're starting with everybody in training camp, where when you miss training camp or you miss a couple months of the season, you try to come back, you're behind everybody. They've been playing for many weeks. It's tough to catch up. I remember experience it myself, and you know, that's part of the reason why I didn't want to put Sean in that position last year. I like that now they're all starting together, you know, from day one in camp, and you know, they start from the bottom, trying to find timing and being comfortable on the ice and taking hits and all that stuff. So it makes me feel better that they're here on day one at training camp and growing with the guys.
Touching on that a little bit, as far as the NHL goes in general, you know, Boston went full bore last year to the very end and conked out in the playoffs. Do you ever see load management becoming an issue in the NHL the way it did in the NBA?
I don't think it's. I haven't seen it being talked about quite as much, but it's something that we've discussed here and there. You guys were around Torts last year. You saw, you know, how he treated the players. I remember being with Torts early in my career, and we never got that many days off. So I think it showed. It's the involvement, you know, in the hockey world with giving more rest to the players. Maybe it's not. We don't talk about it as much as you hear it in the NBA, but I think it's there. I think the coaches and the teams are aware that it's a reality that you have to pay attention to.
How do you see the backup goalie situation playing out? Is it open? I mean, do you look as see a favorite there, or and maybe taking a little less work for Carter?
Yeah, no, I mean, Carter is our number one. Carter has proven that he's he's the number one goalie in the NHL, and he's still our guy. After that, yeah, I think it's fair to say that it's wide open, and we'll see who steps up.
And you mentioned John Tortorella. How confident are you? Obviously, he's a guy who's hyper competitive. He wears that on his sleeve. But how confident are you that he will be able to coach a rebuild in the sense of prioritizing the development of young players? In a game in November where he might his first instinct might be to lean on the vets when in reality it might be better if the kids shut down a game late.
I think it's a perception out there that is not quite right about Torts. We assume Torts, and I'll be honest, I was one of those too. Before we hired him, I thought Torts was going to just lean on the vets. The more I talked to him, the more I got to know him. First of all, you look at what he did last year. He wasn't afraid to use rookies or young players in tough situation. And in talking to him, he's excited. He's excited about this, about working with the young guys. He doesn't care if it's a veteran or a young guy. He'll use the player that is deserving and the players that he feels is ready for it. And rookie or not, they'll get the chance. I mean, you look at how he used Noah Cates last year. He put him in really tough matchups all year long. And he wasn't afraid to. So I think there's, don't tell Torts I said that. I think there's a wrong perception of him out there. I think he likes it maybe, but I think there's a wrong perception of Torts out there. He's great to work with. He wants to work with the young guys. He's excited about this chance to build a team with young guys.
Danny, speaking of John Tortorella, this was your first summer as GM. How do you feel like your relationship has grown or maybe changed with John? And do you feel like your guys' philosophies are aligned?
Definitely. I always got along great with John. Even, from the time he was hired last summer, him and I got along great. We're on the same page. We see the game the same way, and it's been really easy working with Torts. Sometimes he might be tough with some of you guys at time here and there, but he's been a blast to work with. I only have good things to say, honestly, about him.
A few more questions. Kind of as a follow-up to that, the big story in hockey right now is the Mike Babcock situation with him losing the job before starting, and a big part of that was, the inability for him to gain the trust of the young players due to the phone situation. John Tortorella has a reputation, not exactly the same as Mike Babcock, but just in terms of being a demanding coach, kind of a tougher coach. I guess, why do you feel like John Tortorella isn't going to struggle to gain the trust of the young players in the way that Mike Babcock clearly did?
Well, Torts is he's a demanding coach, no doubt about that. He's fair, he's to the point, but he has a knack to let the players know that he cares about it. And he has a knack because it's genuine. He cares about his players. When you hear him talk about his players, he really cares about them. He wants the best out of them. He doesn't care what they think of him. He just wants to get the most out of them because he knows how far he can push them. And that's the amazing part. And I think the players, more and more, when they get to spend time around him, they realize, that he truly cares about them, and he's tough on them because he knows they have another year, another place that he can, take him to. And that's why he's respected. That's why I feel good about him in place and as our head coach.
One of the keys to further improvement this season is obviously both sides of special teams. How big could the returns of Couturier and Atkinson, who play both sides of special teams, be if they're healthy?
Yeah, on the power play, that would be tremendous. Alone, those two guys, that's two big pieces. On the penalty kill, both of them are playing there as well. A lot of heavy minutes on the penalty kill, and Coots' spot too on the faceoffs. I mean, last year was an area that we weren't very good. Losing, Claude Giroux and him in the face-off circle last year was tough, and we had some rough nights in the circle. So adding Coots back there will help tremendously. So I mean, there's so many positives with adding both of those guys, and I also think that our young guys will be a little bit more experienced, and we'll be able to do a little bit more on special teams.
This Canada World Juniors team is still, investigation is still dragging on. Do you have any sense when there might be a conclusion?
Yeah.
And if not, have you or any other NHL teams asked?
Yeah, we ask, but we don't know much. We're not being told much. They're still investigating. I have no clue. I mean, I thought something would have been done by the summer, so we're kind of waiting, and so at this time we're moving forward as if they'll tell us when they're ready to tell us something. So right now we don't have really much news on that front. So we're like everybody else. We're waiting to see what happens.
Last one. Danny, with John Tortorella, he said he wanted to see some prospects maybe start to get into the defensive picture at the end of last year. I think Zamula isn't waivers exempt anymore. Does that maybe have Emil Andre on the outside looking in, or how quickly do you think Andre can maybe get into the lineup?
He's been really impressive. Development camp, he was dominant. He was the best player on the ice. He's going to get a fair look, and then we'll decide what's best for him. He's only 21 years old. The difference with some of the young guys coming from juniors, he's played pro hockey already. He's built strongly already, but we'll evaluate if it's better for him, where to start. But I expect to see him play at some point for the Flyers this season, some games. I don't know how many yet, but he's an impressive young man.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it.